Biggest offering you could ever give your spirit guides is acknowledging their presence in your life, in the face of the enemy, while they're watching and stalking. So yeah, like I said, that was a major lesson. That's why I remember it so well. So I immediately changed my perspective. I was just like happy, grateful, just so content in the moment. And the enemy was mad. It's like they could see it in the cards. Like they could see certain cards where the person is happy, they're smiling, they're confident, or if they're using text index card, spiritual oracle cards, it'll say brave, it'll say confident, it'll say having faith or whatever. So this is the times we living in. And so I was able, like I said, when they started to ramp up the noise pollution and the harassment, in that moment when I got that download, and spirit was like, come on, man. Like what's the point of us ever even continuously giving you the prayers and answering your prayers and giving you the miracles that you want? Because this is why they're doing this. Because think about it. When you ask it for these things, you want to feel a certain thing from it. You want to feel the relief. You want to feel the happiness. You want to feel the burdens off your shoulders. And they don't want that to be. So them telling people to do stuff to you in your mind, it's like, it don't make sense. Why are you constantly mowing the lawn right here by this window? Or why are you constantly, you know what I'm saying, playing that loud music or whatever they're doing to distract or disturb you? If it's affecting you, even if you physically not showing it. This is when I really realized I had to like roll up my sleeves and start doing the work when it comes to like my happiness, my peace and stuff like that in the midst of the gang stalking. They like, if they reading cards, if they're doing this because they're seeing it, like meaning I don't have to hack your phone. I can be in the Bahamas. I could be in the middle of the ocean, goddamn sipping mimosas and smoking cigars. But if I got a damn tarot reader on payroll and I want them to constantly pull cards and explain and use their gifts and visions and all that shit and constantly telling me that you in constant torment and mad and low self-esteem and suicidal, you understand what I'm saying? So I leveled up that day when I seen it from a whole nother perspective. Right. And of course I was gonna spirit God already had, whispered in my ear and put me up on game. Was like, you finna attract a whole bunch of like sleep ass people now that you finna be moving on this level. That's what this level comes with. So now that you're moving on this level where they can lie, they can physically remove people or, resources, finances and things that you need like that to survive that are physical that we can give it back to you through many different sources and ways. But them taking time to try to have a victory doing that and you still knowing that, okay, well, last week I prayed to still have Medicaid. I prayed to have a 2-port phone charger. And I at least still have that. Y'all made that happen for me. I had asked a week ago for my brother to pay my phone bill. I ain't got to worry about that for another 3 weeks. Like, they start showing you how to fight. And so when you grateful about these things, even though, they kicked me out the hotel. Oh, they kicked me out the Airbnb. Oh, the same way. And so, when they gave me that example, like, that's how I started to move. I'm like, okay, yeah. Soon as something negative will happen, soon as something that I might have been more so a lot like abundantly invested or codependent on, let's just say losing your vape, right? Of course, somebody that's miserable, that's constantly doing stuff to you, giving you evil eyes, spiritually attacking you, that they want to see in the cars, they want to see in the crystal ball, the pendulums. They want to physically see through the surveillance cameras, through listening through your phone, that it's affecting you, right? Even if you what's the word, master that level of physically not showing it or not letting it affect you, even if it's mentally, it can't affect you at all in order for you to accomplish and achieve that level, like to get to the next level, to beat that level. It can't affect you at all. And one of the weapons to put you, to offset you and to demote you, should I say, to set you back and put you on the previous level, even when you've learned a lesson, is sleep people. Okay, people that, like I said, that you're gonna interact with and meet and see anyway. Okay, people just in passing, in the stores, in traffic, whatever. These are people that don't know that you know what you know. Okay, even if they know, they're not always considering that. So as you're dealing with the projections, as you're dealing with the harassment, the stalking, and all of this type of stuff, like I said, you've already leveled up to knowing that everything that they're doing is from a space of trying to see mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically, spiritually, how it's affecting you. Even if you've mastered pretending you're still happy, putting on some music, calling somebody, whatever, distracting yourself, getting high, smoking weed, drinking, they can still see if it's affecting you. And like I said, like, I don't want to make this video like giving, because the advanced witches, the advanced spiritualists, they know. But these people get down to it. Like I said, what are they? They'll ask, what are they thinking about? When I told this person in the store to walk by and say this, this could have happened 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 3 years ago. Okay, they're trying to figure out, like, they'll pull, because remember, these are really miserable people, and if they're in this battle with you and you're a divine person who God is supporting, of course, they're getting desperate to get some type of energy from you, some type of energy exchange. So they'll ask about things that are not even currently happening. This is why the work, the healing, the releasing, the cord cuttings, the closing of the chapters, the giving yourself closure, doing the readings, asking, how did this person really feel about you? Do they really like those type of women? I'm helping y'all, divine feminines, karmics, those that need that desire to want to be an empress, that desire to want to be somebody like me, that, people can't come together 10s and 20 in a coven of witches and tear down. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how you get there. You cannot shortcut the game. So bear with me, y'all. I hope I don't, forget any of my points, because those serpent witches, those deletes, they hate the fact that I'm giving a lot of y'all this information right now. Me being here and being a goddess, it's already bad enough, and me, giving y'all strength and wisdom is probably already something that they're despising right now. But, I get good karma for this. But a lot of things that are done and said in relationships that bruise your ego or affect your self-esteem, when you're trying to become that goddess that you are, healing from these things, getting the confirmation. We're not in high school. Asking somebody and expecting them to be honest, especially if they know they were trying to hurt you and they don't want to again. Trying to get them to tell you, like, when you said I was fat, when you said this, when you said my stomach was ugly, when you said my pussy was ugly, when you said this, did you really mean that? A lot of the ways that I'm a mermaid, so I'm going to always be heavily, okay? If you know anything about water and water spirits and things like that. I'm going to always have deep insight past the physical, meaning what people physically say, do, and the actions they show. I'll even get dreams and things like that. So, but some of the things that you guys that don't have those gifts, you can do, instead of just wasting time. Like me, I have time, to watch social media, to watch movies and things like that, because I'm not even, if we being all the way honest, I'm not even supposed to be breathing right now, okay? A lot of the plans and attacks and meetings and rituals and moon rituals and group rituals and death spells and all of the stupidness that was done was ultimately every time done to end me. So I have a very, 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 very close relationship with my Father, which is God, the creator that created my soul. And so he tells me that all the time. Whenever I'm like trying to rush, he's like, where are you in a rush to? Whenever I'm trying to look busy, he's like, they're gonna talk about you anyway. And he's like, you're not a part of the matrix, okay? The elites know that. Everybody that matters when it comes to trying to do what you're supposed to be doing here on this earth, which is evolve, okay? Go get to the next level, whether you're stuck here, whether you're trying to get unstuck, whatever. Those that actually get the real rules of the game, they get that. And so these people already are aware of that, but they like the rest of the world that is a part of the matrix system programming and assimilation. They like them to chatter and distract you and just irritate you and annoy you and shit like that. But yeah, there's been times it's kind of triggered me to get up and try to fit in and put that uniform on. Like, I'm a part of society, right? Which I'm not. I'm a part of the universe and the kingdom of the creator, as a divine being. And so them trying to isolate me, I mean, it's almost like, yeah, bitch, you know what it is. Start speaking. He was just showing me that, like, honestly, what are you, because God is always watching, but I would literally like take in, because I'm a psychic, so it could be watching a YouTube live, and as a target individual, they'll get notifications, messengers, they'll get, or somebody might call, they'll tell them that you're there, they'll get the notification, they'll start trying to make you feel isolated and all that, the game. And so a lot of the times I'm like, it would affect me, okay, let me just put it like that, so I don't have to go into details and explain psychologically what was happening. So I would get up and I would be like, okay, well, I would make a plan. And I'm talking about mid planning. God would just, his love is so awesome. He would just be like showing me all of the outcomes that could possibly happen successfully, quote unquote, Well, what me working at a dentist office, any situation in this matrix system, what would still be going on? Okay, because me working, me applying myself, these were never the problem. The problem was that you're a leader and you're an influencer, and you have something backing you up in the divine that always, even though the world is unfair, the world is a sewage, and it's a sad place, you emit a very bright light that radiates from within, from source. And even though there's a lot of more dark people in the world, they don't have that, or they have not done the work to connect with that and to strengthen that connection. They'll either try to gang together and tear people that have that light out, outcast them, or they'll just not want to be motivated to experience the same thing. Either way, spirit was just explaining all of that to me. And so I just hope I'm inspiring you guys tonight. I know it was a surprise to see me come on and do an upload. I know I've said in the past that I was going to do more. So why are you calling? Yeah, so having a relationship with God is always going to be like my advice. Number one advice. It's going to make things so much more stress free. And so he was just showing that to me. He was like, why are you trying to fit in the matrix? You're a divine. The information that you can never go back to sleep with. So even if you try not to seem lazy or try not to whatever, right? And they've programmed us to think and view what lazy is. What's relaxation? What pops up in your mind when you visualize somebody relaxing? Somebody on a damn massage bed on the beach? That's probably what it is. Somebody in a massage chair, somebody getting their toes done. No, bitch. Relaxation is whatever you do to not stress, to not worry, okay? To not emotionally kill yourself or drain yourself. And there's so many different ways that people try to associate that with being lazy. And when you being in tech, you just gotta drown out everything that they're saying anyway. But yeah, that's something that they're gonna continuously gaslight me on, as far as the laziness and all that. Because like I said, I wasn't even supposed to have lived through many of the attacks, let alone make it through, heal through it. And when I say heal, I don't mean heal through and through, but heal and recover from that to the point where now you can kind of start patching yourself back up together. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when they see that, they feel dumb. It's like, I was sweating that night. I was stressing that night. I wasted gas. I went all in. And these people don't think, for you that get inspired and pumped up and they motivate you and tell you so much better than the person they paying you or trying to goddamn get you to gang stalk. Don't ever get it confused. There's times and moments where these people know that they put their all into never wanting to see you stand up again and rise up, literally. And so I try to also consider and remember that they're delusional when I'm still going in life and they're still trying the same tactics. And it's like, wow, but again, like God was showing me, all of this comes with it but we don't see it. Okay, so hope I gave y'all a lot of downloads. I'm talking about, this was like a Santa Claus bag right here, like full of jewels. In these relationships, once you heal, like I was stating already, as a mermaid, I was always guided by my fairies, fairy godparents and stuff like that. The cards will never lie to you, ever. How do they feel about women with this type of shape or this type of look or this type, and it's going to show you the truth. And then you can go to that's why I said unknowingly I study psychology without trying. Then you'll say, okay, so what did they say that? Oh, okay, you wanted to affect my confidence, you wanted to affect how other people might, because a lot of people can't think for themselves. Fine, I'm saying, but so much when you start going to the roots of healing, and when you see it, you'll be like, wow. You'll be like, wow, so that person really didn't even feel that way, or people really don't even feel that way, but because society says that, so I'm talking about, there's just layers that you will heal from. And when you come across people, again, that bring these things up or try to trigger them, or they're supposed to trigger you, they were originally implanted as circumstances, situations that happen in your life to always trigger you. You'll see how it kind of triggers other people that it's not triggering you. They don't know that you've already probably done readings, on really how it affects you, how people feel about these things and stuff like that. And so you just start becoming hard body and real solid, real pressure. And it's just like the typical things aren't tearing you down. Like, it's best to just keep it moving, go work on yourself, heal, go try to find some type of happiness, because coming for that energy, that particular person, that individual, that energy or whatever, is pointless. You know, they've done a certain amount of work on themselves to where them type of attacks, should we say, is just not going to be effective. And so I've done that as well as, you know, readings for previous connections I might encounter, you know, certain flaws, certain, you know, things from my past situations that I come with. I've already, you know, asked about those scenarios. I already got the advice and all of that. So I know if I were to actually pursue dating in a relationship, I know what type of individual I would be looking for. I've already done that. So just imagine that. Imagine trying to come for a person that has already done the research, and you're trying to make them feel bad about relationships, their natural hair, their weight, their clothes, their finances, all this. They know you're not going to end up in the outcome in their life, you know, and you just wasting 2 weeks of your life trying to affect them. Only for in the future for you to see finally that that was a waste of time and energy. So, you know, think about all of this stuff, y'all. Especially, like I said, we all different signs. We different. We have different birth charts, purposes, and personalities. Some people want to be in a relationship, and as a woman, that's your right. You need a man. You should have a man. You know, some type of man figure around you to protect you, to talk to you know, sometimes help you or whatever. But as far as in a romantic connection, and you had to heal, these are some things I think you should consider when you go back in dating like that. Don't abandon the things that help your solar, sacral, heart chakras. Don't abandon those things. Make it still equal. Okay? Don't abandon and cheat on back to. It shouldn't take a breakup for you to reconcile with self, you know. And they don't show us this in the movies. They don't show us this. They don't talk about this. You don't see that. I mean, you do in the you know, more mainstream movies. You do see examples where the wife is out is doing yoga, or you know, the husband is at the gym, or he's at the bar drinking or whatever. But they don't like express, especially in the more urban films and things like that, the plays, why that's important, why that's happening. Um, Even aside of infidelity and third party relationships and affairs, even a part of that, death happens, sickness happens, people deal with things, they become certain, all kind of things. I can't think of the name. I was going to say parabole, just things happen, and you're not supposed to abandon yourself anyway. But definitely because of that. And so when you start, like I said, more people that's like in their mid 40s, late 30s, you know, when they start, you know, they have a little experience of life under their belt more so, they do that, you know. Now that they're both in their 30s, they're both in their 40s, of course, it's like, okay, well, I made certain mistakes in my previous relationships that I'm not going to make this time. So I know I like to play basketball on the side. Even though I have a girl, I like her, the sex is good, the money is good, we're both good. I'm still gonna I'm exercising the balance now. You know what I'm saying? Her same thing as her. You know what I'm saying? She like to sing. She's going to the studio still. You know, whatever. You're not gonna just classify my identity off as just this relationship and this person. And anyway, when you strong and you know how to do that, they really will come for you too. You'll notice them projecting and bringing your partner up when you're not even around them. It's, clearly, obviously, you're focusing on your YouTube channel. You got a YouTube makeup channel. They're bringing them up. They don't like the balance. They want you to be, like I said, somebody who falls for these things easily, and you're weak. You're weak to the attacks, to what people think and what people say. And so, like I said, just some advice if you know, like, girl, I don't like being single, or I don't care how many lessons or how many failed relationships. You know, now that I know it's spiritual and that, you know, it's not going to always just be all bad, you know, I want to be in a relationship. Just think about those things, you know. You can be in one and be happy, but don't completely abandon you. You don't always have to just, oh, he's coming to the door, he's coming to the car, he's, you know, I'm about to go see him, so I'm about to do my makeup, I'm about to put my wig on, I'm about to put a hat on, I'm about to. Go get a haircut just for you. You know what I'm saying? Pick up you a new bottle of cologne just for you. And because what'll happen is healthy dating is, especially when y'all not like in a marriage or anything like that, like it ain't got real serious. And this is just coming from somebody that's well experienced, and I've seen other people that are well experienced agree with this. Nobody wants somebody that nobody else wants, right? This is why it seems like after you cheat on your girlfriend, or after, which of course that's never the advice, because most good women, they're just not gonna come back. You know, they're gonna heal, they're gonna think about it, and they're gonna say, well, if you would hurt me or do something like that, you'd never like me anyway or something. But most of the time, people like the fact that other people are attracted to, or interested in somebody that they're with. Now you do have some people that just, they weak minded, they weak in general, and after a few bad experiences with them kind of dating out their league, or trying to date somebody that get a lot of attention, or they got a lot of haters, and them not knowing that person comes with people hating on them, people watching them and stuff, they'll agree to just probably date below their standards and their status. Now, like all their life or the whole relationship, people are constantly all over telling them, you can get a better looking dude, or he don't even do nothing for you, or whatever. And the whole time this girl just want a man. You know what I'm saying? Because when she tried to date Pookie, that sold crack, and you know what I'm saying, he had waves and a big dick, everybody was talking about this about her and comparing her to this bitch and that bitch, and it was too much. So now she's like, she don't want to date them type of dudes no more. Now she'd rather go for somebody that probably don't have as much money as him, or they don't get as many females, or they don't get that type of attention. Men are the same way. He like, shit, I got beat up last time I was dating a girl like that, or jumped or robbed, or you know what I'm saying, or it was just a lot of drama and around my house and people calling my phone and stuff like that. So now, and I'm not talking about bad situations, like it just came because people were hating. Now they don't want to. They might see a female, or she might see a guy and be attracted to them and want to date them, but because of what happened when they were with somebody with that same energy, they're not going to take a chance to hope that things will be a little better this time. In cases where you are not a punk, or you're not a wimp, and you like, I want to try again, since I know things ain't always going to be bad, and that I can still have some type of control and affect it, just think about what I said. Don't just let everything be about your relationship. Don't have the world, when they see you, they just think about your husband, or they just think about your wife. They should be able to also appreciate and see the individuality in you, because anything could happen. Your husband, your wife could pass away. They could become incapable of being able to be on the same speed as you, at the same level and pace as you. You understand? So it's just many reasons why. Another point I was trying to make that kind of got away was healthy dating when you're not married. You want people to flirt, with your partner, as long as, ain't nothing too dangerous or life-threatening happening. It's okay for y'all to flirt. And you see a lot of couples nowadays, in the time we living in, that overly exercise that. They go clubbing together and strip clubs and stuff like that. But it's a reason for that, because the same chemistries, frequencies, and energies that are what took place to make you guys attracted to each other, to cause the fireworks, and to have, him desiring her, or her, whatever, cause the sparks to fly. You want to still have a little bit of that involved. And 95% of the marriages and couples nowadays, they completely extract and remove the energy that was. So, for example, I'm just use a quick example here, right? And this is more common in my generation. Say a girl, a stripper. She met her dude while she was in that lifestyle. She didn't have to be him at the strip club. It don't have to be Players Club, even though that happens. Say that's what she was doing at the time. She was 19, 21, 25, whatever, stripping. And she met him doing that. 2 years later, they out of the sun, they got a baby or whatever. They've been dating. They know each other's families. They locked in. They got a house together, all of this stuff. They both, everybody involved has completely cleansed and purged and erased all of and she don't even look the same. The sexiness is gone, the way she kept herself up, the drive, and there go the chakras. Remember I was saying? So that entire whatever even like motivated her, inspired her, whatever she liked about herself, All of that is so important. And they'll never tell you that, because how would the business of marriage counseling thrive? You understand? This world, which is a highly spoken point that somebody I talk about a lot of my videos, and refer people to his channel, mentions, is a lot of the business that you see in the Matrix is built off of chaos in the society. It's organized chaos. So without crime, without certain without death, funeral homes would make money. You understand? Without cancer, without sickness, the hospitals wouldn't make money. So they encourage it. So those that argue with conspiracy theories, fuck you forever. And I've had a lot of people that are against conspiracy theories, or people that are what you call anti-conspiracy theories, and a lot of times they get sent to me through other people saying stuff or letting me see videos or whatever the case may be. The reason why I say screw you, fuck off, is simply because you gotta be asleep if you don't understand it, and you're not able to put those two together. We have So just consider that example, like nothing is a coincidence. So if you working in an environment like that, all of it, you can't overlook no detail. You understand what I'm saying? So to try, if that's your intentions. Some people are advanced enough to just reinvent an entire connection, right? Their mind is strong enough, their alchemy skills are experienced enough, where they can completely take a connection and transform it from what it used to be to something completely different, with nothing from the past attached to it, and it be a success. But that's just not realistic in the times we living in now. It sounds good, like that's like somebody with, which I don't want, I don't make fun of people like that, but that's like somebody that's like somebody with one arm, right? Trying to believe that no matter how good they are with alchemy, witchcraft, belief that they can meditate or conjure up a spell, light a candle, and the other rest of their arm will appear, right? So the work has not been done. It's not possible with the energy that's on the planet right now, for certain lessons to be. It's not even meant for certain lessons to, what's the word? Resurrect. That's the word I was looking for. It's just not even going to happen. But in certain cases that we were just talking about, where a person completely removes a lot of the previous energies that were responsible for bringing a connection together in a good way. Even if they didn't realize it, like you don't know. I'm not going to say that it was actually that profession that brought that person into your life, but it was the energy you were radiating, like the positive energies that you were in. Like it could have just been the fact that you was a go-getter, that you had that spirit about you. He could, on the surface, physically and mentally believe he's somebody that likes to provide. He don't like a woman that's, want her own money. He like a woman that's dependent on him for everything. But he might not even know himself that honestly, hey, that's what made me intrigued in her. That's what made me, drawn to her or attracted to her. So removing that, now that he feels like, well, we got a family, I don't want her to have to worry about all of that. Da, da, da. All I'm saying is, when you start to understand psychology, understand the psychology and spiritual aspects behind certain things, you realize why you just experiences everything, and you start to understand why actual practitioners are paid, why that's an actual job for them, because they sit up and study all that stuff. So again, certain energies, like I can imagine, right? I can just only imagine, not because I am one, because I'm not a practitioner. That's not my profession, to where I do rituals for people and get paid, or I do readings for people, and that's not my profession, right? But I am a guru, meaning that I'm well versed in those things. So I can only imagine that if that's somebody's job and they're trying to put a relationship back together with spell work, their anniversary is in a month. She wants things to be completely different. She wanted to be sparks flying all over Facebook Live, pictures being uploaded, all of that. Even though right now they sleeping in 2 different rooms. This is the life of that shit, right? With the witches and stuff like that paid on YouTube and social media. So I can only imagine that if that's what their intentions are with a ritual, they would ask spirit, what are the energies, what are the memories, what are some of the things that took place that built their connection, that's responsible for their strongest, their strengths of the relationship, the things that make them laugh together, things that they like doing together, things like that. So just out of common sense, when you realize that that's how that works, um, try to consider that, once you do lock in, because it's not always, first of all, smart or wise to care about what the world thinks anyway. If y'all two like each other, it don't matter what nobody else thinks. But it's just not wise to try to completely rid. Even if you feel like, well, that apartment complex we met in, we didn't like this about it. It was roaches. It was dirty. Da 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 da. But it was some moments and it was some times, you know what I'm saying? Some holidays y'all shared, barbecues, whatever. It was some good. You don't want to rid a lot of that. 20 years down the line, that might be some of the stuff that keep y'all loyal to each other, that keep y'all solid to each other. Those energies pulling from that might be what make y'all be able to stand the test of time, is what I'm saying. And so most, like I said, inexperienced people, the things that they on the physical surface might be embarrassed about, or they might be thinking that it was something negative, as they lock in, you're trying to remove that. You're trying to get, move away from that, instead of like water to a seed, you know what I'm saying, help that grow or whatever. So that's just some of the stuff. And so in the situations and examples of where they're successful at removing certain past energies and links to that connection, even though maybe they were able to grow the finances, they were able to grow the other couples that they're attached and connected to, that they could take trips and enjoy holidays and anniversary parties and shit like that with. The stuff that they threw away, that's what end up down the road making them not know each other anymore. You understand? Now we just two strangers that have kids and we stay in the house together. And we so some connections are meant to be, or is meant for y'all to spin the block, should I say, 2 or 3 more times, right? Just probably for karmic debt purposes or good debt. Y'all need to come together a couple more times to have good memories, whatever. But not forever. Even when those situations happen, like I said, time and space almost always has to be the reason why they realize that. Why it's not a good idea. I'm just using another scenario on how you can see that getting rid of certain energies, frequencies, moments, memories are not wise when it comes to trying to keep the solidness, the solidity of the relationship there. It's not wise to remove that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we'll think it is, but it's not. And so you can apply this idea as far as what I'm saying to friendships as well, jobs, anything. Just as you make things more solid, and you make the foundation more permanent, or longevity, just consider anything that was a good thing, try to hold on to that and grow it more, instead of just completely have the whole connection under construction. Because it might seem like a good idea, but as you start to do that, the enemy always rears his head. Now they trying to have another person compete, whether, like I said, these friendships, a job, whatever. Now let's talk about the more advanced examples, and then I'm gonna end the video, y'all, because I've pretty much made all my points, and now this is just extra information at this point. Now the situations where you're dealing with a master manifester, you're dealing with somebody that is more, advanced, with their gifts and things like that. Now they could possibly be, especially if like the universe is in support on both ends, like their spirit guides and your spirit guides are both in agreement and in alignment, meaning that they can see both of y'all weaknesses and strengths to still work together. Y'all somewhat have some similarities as far as y'all purpose and stuff like that. They will, help make it work, but you have to already, like I said, have the strengths in being a master manifester, somebody that is good with alchemy, good with transmuting energies and stuff like that. Now in that case, you can have a scenario where we met, this was the case, this is where their finances were, this was this situation, we somehow still was able to see past all of that and make some type of stable connection, and now we're more locked in, loyal, more familiar with each other, know each other more, and you want to completely, like, now you have a vision, you see the connection being something completely different, you also have to consider the adversity that's going to come with that, the attention, the attacks. Is that something that you want to go through? If you're somebody that's a complainer, or you somebody that care what people think, you want to always seem to have things going good in your life, you care about stuff like that, don't even bother. But if you somebody that don't care about stuff like that, then that won't be a hard sacrifice for you. But you got to know some sacrifice is going to come with you trying to be in just this perfect relationship in a world where single people are, that's a business. Okay, dating sites, counseling, different, all kind of different stuff out here. And if everybody was in a happy relationship, you know what I'm saying, like I said before, how would marriage counselors get money? How would therapists in general? You know, how would Maury, how would Jerry Springer, how would any of this type of stuff that y'all have seen years, decades? It hasn't stopped. The world has not just shifted into this high vibrational place where they're encouraging people to operate out of a space of love. So anyway, like I said, once you realize all of this type of stuff, you have to consider it, and then do the readings or do the research to see what's going to come with this. You know, let's see if you still want it once you see what comes with it. Now, if you still want it and you see, damn, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, da-da-da-da, you still want it, now you in what we call a much more mature space to receive it. Because as these things happen, you taking it with a grain of salt. You like, I knew this was going to come with it, whatever. I knew that was going to go away. I knew. Now that you get it, you're not in a, what I would call like a delusional space, like a honeymoon space where people like, they taking advantage, like that space most people are in right when they get married, or right after they have a baby, or right after they get that big house, or they, you know what I'm saying, where everybody knows that you're really only being so nice and stuff because you're not really grounded in what's going on. You're not, you know what I'm saying, like you real distracted, like a teenager driving a damn Rolls Royce. You know what I'm saying, it's theirs, but they're not aware of, you know, the dark energy, the negative energy, people lurking, people, it's that type of energy. When you know what's going to come with something, and what, you know, the sacrifices involved, who's going to try to attack you, all of that, once it comes, you can actually take the mature steps to not only appreciate and enjoy it, but kind of keep it longer, because nothing is permanent, nothing in life is forever. But now you can actually enjoy it way longer than the naysayers and the enemies and everybody was expecting. So a couple going in, you know, you got spiritual people in your family, or y'all actually hired people to help you that you can trust. They're going to be expecting it. They're not going to be like dizzy, willy-nilly happy first married people. You know what I'm saying? They're way more humble, way more relaxed about it. They already know, you know what I'm saying, what's inevitable, what. Thank you. Those cases, normally that's how advanced alchemists and people that are more so experienced move. It'll be written all over their face, or anybody that's associated with them knowing the truth. And you'll notice it. Sometimes you might say, why it don't seem like they so happy? I would be so happy if I was them, or I would be so happy, because they not like green to their situation. They're not like having unrealistic expectations. So even though they're in a really, really, really victorious place, they know the failures that's coming soon. They know maybe who's sick behind the scenes trying to, you know, mess up their happiness. They're in a grounded space. So it's, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for the love. But they're aware. They're alert. You understand? They know what's to come. You know what I'm saying? And then you got some people that's not aware at all. They just like, oh my God, I didn't know this victory was coming. I didn't know, they don't know nothing about tarot cards and nothing. Somebody else already seen that Ten of Cups coming for them. That happily ever after energy, which is the Ten of Cups. They already seen that before you seen it coming. But now that you in it and you didn't even see it coming, you don't know what to protect yourself from. You don't know what's coming next. You don't know that you should actually enjoy this time and take as many pictures, because it's a storm coming in another couple weeks or months or years. It's just a difference. So if we, you know, we just discussing those examples in those advanced cases, a lot of times those are the steps that they'll take. They'll say, okay, let me see what's going to come, because that's the word. You should expect it. Anybody that, I'm not going to say that because that's just the average person. But if you play lottery, for example, or you expecting to hit the lottery, you thinking about hitting the lottery, I'm talking about millions, if you visualizing like just and like you feeling just so happy, like just this rush, this ecstasy coming through you, like, oh my God, everything, I would, that's not, everybody else that personally knows you, that know you hit the lottery, these elites and the people that are also in control with this divide and conquer tactics that they take, they need to make sure everybody somehow. That's why anybody that's living them type of lives, they gotta go. They gotta fake their deaths. They can't, nobody, they have to pretty much like they dead. Out of sight, out of mind. That's why that's such a strong ritual. Because even if somebody does fake their death and they do that ritual, that energy of death is so strong that it'll actually be like they dead for real. So now they really can enjoy their money. They really can enjoy their happiness and their peace. Because the world we live in, it thrives off suffering. It thrives off fear, off worry, off anger. So even when you know a win like that is coming, like I said, even in a case where you hoping, you praying to hit the lottery and stuff like that, always consider, first of all, just so I ain't even got to go in extra details with that. When you think about it in that point of view, you can automatically, intuitively downloads, realistic downloads of what comes with a situation that you're trying to manifest. It will start to reveal itself. So we just wanted to use a example, like just, you know what I'm saying, just try an example so we can see. That would be a good one. Now let's all imagine getting $10 million. If you immediately are imagining you just buying clothes, popping tags, living in a fancy mansion, fancy ass furniture, waking up, breakfast in bed, happy, always just, that's no. You're nowhere close to even experiencing that experience because the frequencies aren't realistic enough. In a dream, yeah, that'll happen. In another world, but in this miserable, angry world where the majority of people that have that type of money or have had that type of money, they had to sign awful contracts that restricted them from even really being able to enjoy it all the time. So you have to consider what will come with that. Leeches, miserable people that ain't got $20 in their pocket, people that ain't ate in a couple days, motherfuckers that's trying to figure out how they gonna pay their rent, their mortgage that's $2,000 a month. All of that. Because now you can help. Because I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just showing you how master manifestors manifest. Anybody can say, oh, I heard manifestation works. Let me visualize, focus on, and think about what I want to attract and to come to me. But until you start getting realistic with the timeline and the times you're in, I'm not saying what's impossible. I'm saying you're trying to quickly and thoroughly bring something down into the physical. You have to, what is the energy you're in now? How does people, and then you build your way up. So we said 10 million. Let's talk about 5,000. If you were to hit Fantasy 5, if you were to be able to scratch off and get $5,000, what is the physical manifestations around you with the timeline you're living in now and on the time that you're in now? How would that, because it'll also show you what the timeline that you're on and how that affects you, meaning the people that you're close to, your loved ones, your enemies, everything attached and linked and associated with you as a soul. So you say, okay, $5,000. Okay, I probably, shoot a couple $100 over to my loved ones or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Probably try to make moves towards my stability, whether that's a vehicle or a play. You'll start to see that. And then you can start having more realistic downloads about things they might do. Okay, other things that you out of the loop about, how those will come together. All right. And then you can start being, you playing with it more with things that's far-fetched, Lamborghinis and all of that type of stuff, considering where you at. So how would things be for me if I were to just be able to manifest $1,000, $1,500 out of the thin air? So you start getting closer to actual things that are more accessible for you to manifest now, and then get in a meditative space, a meditative state or space, to see how and what kind of movement, what type of motion energetically around you that would create, right? And you'll literally see it, especially when you link that with your psychic gifts and your intuitive gifts and stuff like that. So you see how you can only imagine. You see, when we use the first example as far as you manifesting 10 million, which the average person's not trying to, but you can start to try to. So now talk about something else besides money. You trying to manifest the dream honeymoon, the dream relationship, the dream twin set, the dream body figure, being able to get all A's on your next semester in college, whatever it looks like. Be realistic with something, a small, a very, very accessible, in reach goal. Start with what you would feel if you were to manifest that. What type of things would you think about? What type of emotions? What type of things do you think you would hear and experience in your surroundings around you? Okay? And then actually try to go after that. Experience the manifestation. Sometimes you can mentally, but I would definitely recommend physically documenting these things down in like a journal or whatever. See how on point you were with your predictions, and then working your way up. Now try to manifest something even bigger, even more. It's more stuff I want to say, but I told y'all I'll take my time when I'm speaking, because some stuff I could say in another video, because it would just lead to just way too much unpacking. That would stretch already probably a 2-hour video, because I have to keep restarting these 2-minute videos on Snapchat. But this is just, talk about advanced manifestations and being able to completely reconstruct a connection, no matter what the category of that connection is, being able to completely transform it into something else. These are possible, but start small. So since we were talking about the realm of relationships, visualizing y'all renewing your vows after 30, 40 years, 25 years or whatever, this big beautiful ballroom setting, and you got all the money and resources and connections to do it. So this is why you're visualizing it. So in that aspect, it's not impossible, but because of where y'all relationship is, because of y'all communication, maybe y'all habits every day, all of these type of things, right? You want to start with a more smaller manifestation. So seeing you guys be able to go on a picnic, both be respectful, positive, as you visualize that, you can kind of start to see, based off the timeline and the things, people, and places you are connected and attached to energetically, how these things will play out if they were to manifest. And that is what will be the seed and the energy, the battery to actually. And so, yeah, like you would start with something small, like I said, and you would see the manifestations of on the timeline, based off the timeline that you're in, how that will wake up and affect the motion around you. So, and then let's say in certain cases that it actually is going a step further in this class and go and say you actually do go on the picnic. You actually do go, on a lunch date outside, on a picnic. I mean, not outside, on a patio, on a porch of a diner or something like that. And you like, wow, I knew, certain people that don't even check on us like that would call. And, I was pretty much predictive. I was able to pretty much, predict what would happen. And so now you can go bigger. You can say, okay, us going to, what is it called? Nickelodeon Studios, or, I can't think of the name, y'all. Not Disney World, the other one. Something Studios or whatever. Now I can visualize and meditate and manifest and use alchemy to bring into fruition with us going on this 5-day cruise and all of this type of stuff. You start to get more realistic with the timeline you're on, more in sync psychologically and intuitively with the predictions that will be more realistic to what would happen. So that then when you have those far-fetched, those big manifestations that you want, like I want to manifest this type of car, this type of mansion, you have the experience at what you need to consider. Okay, now those big manifestations, what I learned is a lot of times it's good to work backwards, meaning go ahead and visualize, acknowledge, see, what do you feel, what do you notice, or what do you think you would feel in the end. So now that you get the mansion, now that you have that house, now that you have that type of credit score or that credit card, what are you feeling every day? What's the typical Wednesday morning like? That's how you, and see, these things are so blocked because you're not on that timeline. You're on your timeline. See, now I'm showing you how quantum leaping works. But when you would get there, talking about, visualizing and trying to, there's an actual video lecture I used to watch on this. But this is also just information I'm telling you from my own experience. But when you start getting in the groove of trying to live in the end, is what the phrase is called. Imagine what it would feel once you get the job, once you get the proposal, once you get the whatever the big, not the small manifestations, the big manifestations, the luxurious things, the things that are what you would consider to be things you would dream for and stuff. How to bring it closer to you is to try to merge timelines. Okay, that's what I would call it. So what does a normal everyday Wednesday morning or Saturday morning, either or, look like for you now on the timeline you live in now? Does it look like you going, to the job that you've been in for a while, rolling you a blunt, get on your YouTube channel, going to the car wash that you share with your cousin, whatever that is, going for a jog, whatever it is. Visualize that, and then visualize incorporating that aspect to yourself, but continue to keep pulling and merging from the timeline, the energy of the timeline that you're on now, because that's what's going to help you be able to pull those imaginations and manifestations down into a much more 3D form, a physical form. Okay, and then quicker meaning the timeline that you're on now. Okay, because sometimes we be manifested, but it things that you try to manifest, you unknowingly you could manifest them 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, because it's not that it wasn't coming, but it's not that you didn't manifest it, but you manifested for a future timeline. Once your life has shifted and you quantum leap to another timeline, so now that you're not living in that state, for example. And I'll tell you a secret: a lot of y'all, you manifest all the time, but because you don't visualize and consider the timeline that you're on now, or start with how things are for you now, when you're visualizing what you're trying to bring in now, you don't see it until life has to intervene. There has to be a divine intervention. And so now that you physically move, you don't live in the same state anymore, you don't work at the same job anymore, you're not with the same person, the universe recognizes that the timeline shift. That's all they recognize. They're like, okay, now there's a new energy. We can push all this manifestating energy that she was in just smoking. You probably didn't even know you was manifesting. I'm talking about cases like that. You didn't know that every time you got high, you was in a car, you know what I'm saying, your ex was a truck driver, y'all traveled a lot or whatever, when you had time for your mind to just relax and just to wonder, when you were in those frequencies, because the mind is powerful, it's like a magnet, okay? And when you were knowingly trying to manifest that stuff, it's not that it wasn't coming in and that, oh, now that I'm not with this person, it's coming in. Now that I'm not in this state anymore, it's just now the universe recognizes that space, that open space, to be able to bring in those manifestations for you. And so you can manually, is what my point I'm getting across to you guys, you can manually do that by considering, because a lot of us, when we first start manifesting, we completely want to just, like a stepchild, just disregard and ignore our current timeline, because that's how bad we want the change. We want the new outcome, the manifestation. But the actual key and the guide is to merge it, take it with you in to a certain extent. So let's use another example. I want to manifest my hair to grow 2 more inches than it already is. Okay, I want to manifest something. We're going to use a small example again. I want my hair to grow 2 inches longer than it currently is. So we take a measure, and it's at my collarbone currently. And I want 2 more inches. So that will probably put us about right here, right? Where a V-neck would be if I had a V-neck shirt on. The easiest way to do that is to pull and merge from my current timeline. So what does it look like currently in my life when I'm wearing my natural hair, when I'm flat ironing my hair, when I'm combing it, when I'm plaiting it, when I'm looking at my length, when I'm greasing my scalp? And how can I merge that new manifestation of the 2 inches with it? Okay, I'm sure I probably will be taking more pictures with my natural hair. I will be using more, ideas. I will be braiding it differently, different styles. You see how the creativity, it pulls it in. And a lot of us unknowingly have done that. You could unknowingly do that as well, like where you've already, because you visualized something and you wanted it bad enough. There's manifestations that slip through the cracks like that as well, where even if you don't merge them onto the current timeline, or should I say you didn't know that, oh, I didn't know I could do that to see it. You didn't know that that's what you were doing. That's why it ended up manifesting, because you were actually merging it. So you visualized yourself in that current place where you were living, in that current job where you were employed at, around those current people that you were talking to, hanging with. You visualized that manifestation and that change around them. Now that's when you just on some witch voodoo, goddamn spooky Haitian, powerful, demonic, crazy ass goddamn, which demonic is not bad. Demonic just means demonic demon. That's when you on like the damn master level. And I know I said master manifester, but I'm whatever's above master. Like you a beast at this point. Like you visualizing these actual manifestations coming together, like with details. Like I seen me talking to my landlord and my landlord saying, when did you get that Benz? Da, da, da. Like that's how like the elite manifestors start pulling it in. Like I visualized me arguing with the bank because they said that it was a block on or a hold on my account for the $40,000 that got dropped in it because it was too much and I had to go rip and run. Da 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 da. But you're visualizing this while you're trying to manifest. See, that's another key. But see, that's gonna be next time, y'all. You know, you have to pay for my Patreon for all of the jewels and gems right now. I'm still trying to build my Patreon, so you good for right now. But a lot of those recordings, those videos and stuff that are unreleased, that's where that will be uploaded and published at. But yeah, that's just a little secret. I'm not gonna make that a video right now, but also including the negative stuff that comes with a manifest. So last video for sure, y'all. Just consider that. You know, I'm not saying on no negative Nancy stuff. Anytime that you're in a space to want to create something new, positive in your life, to always think about the bad that can happen or the negative that comes with it, but in a crafty, skillful way. Just remember, you know, just in a more grounded way, you know, just the world we live in, the things that just are not going to change. We can pray for them, we can hope that one day they will, but right now, okay, it's not no major end to these issues. And so like I said, that's just one of the ways, and I love using my examples, y'all, because I don't like leaving people hanging. I'm trying to manifest a certain goal every month I have 4 vending machines, just example. I have 4 different vending machines in 4 different states, and I want to manifest a certain goal, right? So what I would do is I would consider off of the timeline that I'm at currently before this change that I'm trying to manifest. What is in my current timeline in my current life that's negative, that affects me, that more than likely would still affect me if I were to get the goal that I'm trying to get every month from these 4 vending machines? That would bring it in just as quick. You know, like I said, it's not a video about that, just another little cheat code or whatever. So if you deal with, obviously, I don't want to use an example that's just too negative. I don't want to say vandalization or anything like that, but if you deal with inside jokes and comments from your family members, you close to your family, and they say stuff about your vending machine business, if you deal with stuff like that now, they probably would hype it up then, or compare you to somebody that has more vending machines or makes more from doing that. That will help you manifest it quicker. So just being more creative, like I said, using your intuitive gifts and powers would definitely help you be more on, you know, because your intuition and your psyche is not gonna lie. So if they're showing you all kind of just different random visions and stuff that would come with you being able to level up financially, get a certain job, manifest a certain amount of money, any type of manifestation that you're trying to bring in, if it would come with something that you wouldn't normally be able to know without your intuition, and then you include that, that's gonna manifest quick. So and we do it a lot with the relationships. You know, obviously a ex, a baby mama, a baby daddy, miserable hating family members that's just nosy and gossip, neighbors, people from your past. You know that they're gonna pop out. That's intuitively, your intuition is telling you if you manifest being able to get engaged or move in with a person y'all dating, y'all can happen. So that was it, you guys. Make sure that you continuously check my channel. I know I'm not one of the content creators that just are always uploading, always live. And most of y'all that's Honey Tribe, you know why. I'm on the road trying to still get stable despite my obstacles, despite being gang stalked. But those that are loyal to me, you know it's worth it. And that's why you've been here for so long, even through all of the issues and the targeting. So shout out to y'all, and until I come back with another video. Peace.